Hello, this is Blake Graham, Triple Diamond with American Longevity, and it's a pleasure today to be here with Dr. Ronald Pugh, optometrist and philanthropist, as well as a real student of nutrition. Dr. Pugh, how are you this morning?
I'm very good. Thank you for asking, Blake.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
I am an eye doctor. I've been seeing patients for over 30 years. I've had a chance to study extensively nutrition for more than 40 years, having a tremendous interest in nutrition because of my mother. My mother always had struggles with her health for as many years as I knew her. And so even in high school, in the health classes, I paid attention. In college, I paid attention. On my opportunity to serve other people worldwide, I've paid attention. And as I've found over the years, nutrition is so critical. It's exactly as mom and grandmother told us, we are what we eat. And it does make a difference. The fruits and vegetables are important. The new breakthrough within the last, I would say, 10 to 20 years is quality supplements that goes along with what the food lacks. It was brought to my attention back in the 90s when I read the Senate document 264 that goes back to 1936 that talks about how the land is lacking the minerals, therefore the food and the animals that eat the food and the people that eat the food and the animals are lacking minerals, and how important minerals and how important nutrition is to our overall body health, and how many mineral deficiencies and vitamin deficiencies cause physical problems. And with my mother having so many physical problems, when she went to the doctor, she had 2 pages of problems. And she didn't mention the big ones like diabetes and blood pressure and the obvious ones. These were all little pains and aches and problems and worries that she had. And so I've been very, very interested in finding what would have helped Mom. She died at age 75, so she's gone now. In the process, what will help myself, my siblings, my fellow man. I'm very interested in nutrition.
Tell us a little bit about where you studied for optometry school. Now, I know you're not just an optometrist. You were actually the top of your class?
Well, I wouldn't say grade-wise I was on the top of the class. I've always been high in my class academically. But in my optometry school, my class did honor me as picking me as the outstanding student as we graduated. When you're picked by your peers, it does give you a special feeling. But I had a chance to study optometry in Pacific University in Forest Grove, Oregon. And leading up to that time, I've been studying at 3 universities, one in Las Vegas, one in Provo, Utah, Brigham Young University. And then I did finish up my Bachelor of Visual Science, my Doctor of Optometry degree at Pacific University in Oregon.
How long have you been in practice?
I started my practice in Utah County in 1975, so I'm approaching 30 years.
Now, in addition to practicing, you actually do optometry on a volunteer basis down in Mexico, and you've been doing that for a number of years. Tell us a little bit about your trips to Mexico.
In 1983, I attended a World Congress, which was called the American Optometric Association. And in that World Congress, they pointed out that over half the world would live and die and never once see an eye doctor, never have eyeglasses, and everyone will have problems if they live long enough. And I had a desire at that point to share my talents, my skills with vision to help people to be able to see better. And so in March of 1984, I made my first trip to Mexico. I went with other doctors. We saw 3,200 people. We gave out thousands of glasses. And since that time, I've led the Utah Optometric Association, what we call VOSH, Volunteer Optometric Service to Humanity. I've led 25 trips and been involved with 25 trips to Mexico, taking, over the time, thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of glasses. Our most recent trip was in March of 2004, and we were able to see 2,800 people, able to give out 16,000 pair of free glasses. We're now working on a trip to Guatemala. We're hoping to take vision to people of all over the world in those countries where they're unable to afford eyeglasses, afford eye exams. We're not really trying to take work away from the practicing doctors, but these are people that would never have access to eyeglasses or to eye exams. And in my mind's eye, helping people to see is really, really special. But I also have a desire in my heart to help those people prevent blindness, because that's also one of my specialties, is helping people to realize what causes blindness. And once they understand what causes blindness, they then have a choice to either go ahead and become blind like their countrymen, or to change their nutrition, change their supplements, and actually prevent and avoid blindness.
Now, 25 trips You said one trip was 3,200 people, one trip was 2,800 people. Is 3,000 people about the average?
I would say 1,500 to 3,000 people is about the average people that we see in our trips.
So with 25 trips, that's upwards of 75,000 people that you've actually met with and helped with eye exams.
Which sounds good if you take it person by person, and I'm happy because every person, this may change their entire world and how they see it. It's kind of like giving them magic windows that they can look out of and now see the world. But compared to 2 billion that need help, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. But I think it's pretty obvious you've got quite extensive experience in working with people. It's not just a few hundred patients that come to your office individually. It's also all of these thousands and thousands of people you've seen in Mexico, and now you're working on actually expanding that service to Guatemala. Is that right?
That's correct, into other countries. The thing that breaks my heart is even though we're able to give them vision, we see that these people, many times because the same people that need our services also have horrible nutrition. They have so little money, and their neighbors are actually quite healthy looking. And the little people we work with, the little girls are beautiful as teenagers. But as they have their first, their second, their third child, their teeth start to fall out. I'm sure it's a calcium deficiency. And other deficiencies come up. The children themselves have birth defects. There's many things that still pull my heartstrings that I want to do more than just give out free eyeglasses. I'd like to be able to help those people to educate themselves and to be able to make changes that are meaningful in their life.
So are you seeing the same kind of health problems we have here in the U.S.?
I am. I'm seeing mineral and vitamin deficiencies throughout everywhere I go. It's very, very sad to me to see people suffer. And a lot of it just begins by not knowing the difference, by not knowing what to eat, what not to eat, and how to supplement, and the necessity of supplement.
But the other side of the coin is, although it's sad to see those challenges, it's also hopeful to know that there's something we can do about them.
I talk about 6 inches from health. I think people are only 6 inches away from being healthy, and the 6 inches is the spacing between their eardrums. It has to change within the person's mind. A person needs to become responsible for their own visual and physical health by educating themselves and doing according to their education.
Well, Dr. Pugh, one of your passions is preventing blindness, and you talk about the top 5 reasons that people go blind. Tell us a little bit about those reasons.
The top 5 reasons people go blind in the United States of America, the number 1 and number 5 reason is macular degeneration and cataracts. Both of those are caused by free radicals. If people could understand where the free radicals come from and prevent those as much as possible, it's impossible to prevent them all, but you certainly can cut way, way back on exposure to the free radicals by controlling the things that you eat, by controlling the exposure that you have to first and second-hand smoke, to be specific, to margarine. Everyone can decide, I'll never eat margarine again. Butter is healthier because butter at low temperatures, if it doesn't change color, doesn't have the free radicals. It doesn't go into the trans fatty acids. If a person could get their antioxidants up, and again, that's a choice. People have to choose to eat fresh fruit is better, the brighter the color is better, the darker berries are better. There's a lot of things as people find out through education what to eat and how to prepare it, and more importantly, what not to eat. The analogy I like is I fly airplanes. And if you and I were going down to take a flight in my airplane, and let's say we had a quarter of a tank of gas, I'd like to have more gas. And we're using the analogy of the airplane and ourselves as our body. And the gas is what fills the tank, and food is what fills our stomach. And so as we're hungry, we're thinking about what we're going to eat. The gas tank in the airplane needs to have more fuel. We start to put the 100 low-lead fuel in, which is what the airplane needs. Now, if halfway through filling that gas tank, if I start feeling a little bit cheap and thinking, oh, I don't really want to use this expensive gas, let's just fill the tank with something else. Let's put some dirt, some weeds. Let's throw some water in there. Let's just fill it with water. It's okay. It's just an airplane. And so now the tank's stay full. And this is kind of how we eat. We start to eat and we think, this is good for us and this isn't, but I'm really hungry. And so you grab a handful of this and munch that and fill up on whatever it takes to fill our tank. Now in the airplane, that's unthinkable. We don't want to go flying now that we've filled it with junk. And yet our bodies, we do that day after day, week after week, year after year, and we wonder why we get sick as we get past 40, 50, 60, 70, why we die early. And so the idea is that with the airplane, it's important what you put in. We want the 100 low lead. But it's probably more important what we don't put in the tank. We're not putting dirt. We're not putting water. We're not putting impurities. And in our body, it's the same thing. It's important what we put in, but it's also important what we don't put in and to know what's right. And with our bodies, we also need supplements in order to make up for what's not in the food.
You've become quite a student of antioxidants in recent years. Tell us a little bit about free radicals and how antioxidants help protect us from this damage.
I've been watching the reports in the newspaper, the professional journals. I even hear it in my professional meetings now about free radicals and antioxidants. 20 years ago, I didn't know anything about them. 10, 15 years ago, I started to hear a little bit. In the last 10 years, I've studied extensively. The free radicals are created as the molecules in their body have actions upon them. For example, something causes an electron to fly off, and the molecule becomes unstable. It becomes a free radical. Whatever caused that to fly off could be margarine. The hotter it is, the more free radicals it creates. It could be vegetable oil. The hotter it heats, the more free radicals it creates. It could be anything fried, first or second-hand smoke. It could be sunlight. It could be power lines. It could be a cell phone. It could be a microwave. It could be impure water. It could be the air, pollution. All kinds of things cause free radicals. And our body has free radicals running through our body. Is causing cellular damage of tremendous proportions. Our cells get bombarded by free radicals to the point that if we weren't divine, if we weren't made by God, I've been told and I believe that if the free radicals were to overall and we had no antioxidants to offset them, that in 3 days we'd die. The antioxidants are the good guys. Those are the guys that are in the fruits, in the vegetables. They have extra electrons, and when they find a free radical, they give them the electron and settle them down before they can cause damage. And so the idea of good health would be to have your antioxidant level as high as possible, have your free radical level because of what you choose to take into your body and how you protect your body, to have it at low level, and so that at the cellular level, the free radicals are low, the antioxidants are extremely high, and it can take care of the problem before it really has a chance to begin. And on doing this, you're talking about anti-aging. We're talking about staying younger longer. We're talking about protecting from cataracts, from macular degeneration. We're talking about cancers. Most cancers. I mean, people, I've heard as many as 30 or 40 cancers a day are started in the average person. And if a person had the antioxidant level high enough to solve those before they ever got out of proportion, before they got away, before the body was able to handle those, the body could go in and actually nip those in the bud, stop the cancer when it's at a cellular, just one molecule stage, one cell stage, and we could prevent many of the horrible things that people are now experiencing. All kinds of degeneration of the different body parts.
Well, if we're getting free radicals, even from the oxygen in the air we breathe, then I think it's probably impossible for us to completely eliminate the free radicals. But you said a great strategy is to reduce your exposure to free radicals by taking the things out of your diet that shouldn't be there. And
That's
you
correct.
mentioned margarine and vegetable oil, fried foods, burnt animal fat.
Burnt animal fat. Butter is good, but if you heat it too hot, if it starts to change color, it turns into trans fatty acid, turns into free radicals. First and second-hand smoke are horrible. The numbers are astronomical from one cigarette, first or second-hand.
Wow.
And so it's one of those things that we have to have the antioxidants, and God has placed the antioxidants in the bright-colored fruits, especially in the skin of those fruits, especially in the berries, especially in the dark berries, and even chocolate is coming in as a wonderful source of antioxidants. Chocolate on the ORAC, which is the oxygen radical absorption capacity, it comes in at over 13,000. An orange will come in at 750. Chocolate's a wonderful source. Even milk chocolate comes in at over 6,000 on the ORAC scale. So we're talking about per 100 grams, about the size of your fist. If you eat 100 grams of dark berries, you get like 2,400 rating for your ORAC. You eat an orange, you're getting 750. You eat dark chocolate, you get over 13,000. And so the idea is to eat the quality fruit, eat the quality vegetables. Your green leafy vegetables are high. Your spinach, your chard, your kale, very, very high on the ratings. And so the darker the leaf of the green and the brighter the color gives you more and more antioxidants. But supplementing is very important. Eating the fruit and vegetables is a good source, but people that really want to get their antioxidant level as high as possible, supplement. And you're talking about green tea extract, you're talking about grapeseed extract, you're talking about extra vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C, zinc, encapsulating chocolate that's so bitter you couldn't eat it, but it's so pure that if you took it as a capsule, you'd get that wonderful antioxidant value right into your system.
Now, you mentioned dark chocolate, and I know a lot of people are going to be excited to hear that they can eat chocolate. Does that mean people should just go out there and eat more chocolate candy bars?
Let me tell you about chocolate and other foods. You take chocolate, and it's God-made, and you add to it pollution. You're talking about the waxes, you're talking about the refined sugar, you're talking about the hormone milk. You hit the pollutions, and now you made it where it shouldn't be eaten. You take an egg. God made it, it's good. But you fry that egg, and now you've filled it with free radicals. It's not good. You take meat. It's good. Meat sparingly won't hurt you, especially if you're supplementing properly. But if you overcook that meat, now you turn into trans fatty acids. You're creating more free radicals. And overcooked meat will actually increase cancer by 462%. And so it becomes carcinogenic. And so you can take something good and you can ruin it. Or you can take it the way that God created it, and maybe with a little bit of preparation, you can make it good for you or even better for you. Man tends to screw things up. God tends to make things so they're good for you.
Now, if somebody's just eating a good diet, say they really consciously try to eat lots of dark green leafy vegetables and lots of the dark berries, are they getting enough antioxidants just from the food they eat?
They definitely are better off by controlling what they eat, by eating the good stuff and staying away from the bad stuff. But I truly believe that supplementation is critical, necessary, important. It has to be. In our day and age where we live, we have to supplement. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're not getting. Personally, I like to eat like there are no supplements. But then I like to supplement like I'm eating tree bark and leaves, because I'd rather have double than nothing. So I'm very careful what I put in my body, and I'm very careful to supplement each time as I take food, because I'm eating now to live. I want to be able to stay to do as much good as I can on this earth for as long as I can and feel as good as I can. I truly believe I can get to 100 without aches and pains.
You talk about supplements. Is there a difference in the quality of different supplements, or are all supplements essentially equal?
I've done quite a bit of study on this. I've tried different supplements. I've looked up the literature. I believe there's about 1,900 supplements on the market. And out of those, I only know of a handful that are worth taking. And the ones that I like best are the ones that have the most bioavailable ability to get into the tissue to give us help. For example, minerals. If you chew on a rock, you don't get much. If you chelate it, it does increase its absorbability. But the best minerals come out of plants. Plant-derived minerals are the very, very best. And those plant-derived minerals are available. They're a little bit hard to find, but they're worth looking for. And there are sources to get plant-derived minerals. Even when the bottle says plant-derived minerals, you have to look at who's bottling that and whether or not you trust the people and whether or not they're accurate. I like to have supplements that have an independent lab evaluate, and so that I know that what it says on the bottle is really what's in the bottle. I find that vitamins and minerals are different qualities, different absorbabilities. I find that different pills, some will absorb, some don't. People that run the sewage plants find thousands of pills that haven't even dissolved. They've just gone right through people and have done them virtually no good at all. So yes, there's a huge difference in the different quality of supplements.
Well, I know a lot of companies that sell antioxidants. They just list, we have antioxidants in there. How do people know if they have a good antioxidant? You mentioned this ORAC score, oxygen radical absorption capacity. Is that something that can help people tell that they have a good antioxidant?
The best way I know to tell on a good antioxidant is to have an independent lab that does an ORAC score. And you can compare different liquids that say they have antioxidants. You can compare different preparations. And based on that ORAC score, I think that's an excellent way of seeing who really has the high antioxidants and who just says they have it.
Now, is the ORAC score pretty objective, or is it more subjective? Does it depend on who's doing the test?
ORAC score is science, and science means that you can measure it. And so I think the most important thing on the ORAC score is to have an independent lab that has no financial gain from lying. Someone that does good science and does good comparatives would be a score that I would trust.
Dr. Pugh, what are some of the diseases or health challenges, the problems that are associated with free radical damage and the lack of antioxidants?
As an eye doctor, the two concerns I have specifically is macular degeneration, the number one cause of blindness, which now by all the eye doctors of America in their literature, the American Optometric Association and the Journal of the American Optometric Association, October 1998, said that certain antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals in twice-a-day dose of antioxidants and diet, low-fat, high complex carbohydrate, meat sparingly, moderate protein, and lots of green leafy vegetables and fresh fruits would actually prevent macular degeneration. I've seen 11 of those come back. I had my first experience a few years ago where I gave this article from the American Optometric Association to a young lady, and her father was so blind because of macular degeneration, he couldn't drive. She came back a year and a half later, and because of the story she told me, I brought my son-in-law in, who was kind of a skeptic. I says, Doug, come and listen to this story. And the young lady said, you know, my father did exactly what the article said. He added the antioxidants, he did the vitamins, the minerals, the supplements, he changed his diet, and now he's able to drive day and night. His vision has come back. That's the first time that I personally had ever heard of macular degeneration being reversed. Prevented, I think the eye doctors accept that. Even in the Archives of Ophthalmology, October 2001, it talks about 19% of 3,640 people showing that they could slow down or prevent age-related macular degeneration. But reversing it, that one is exciting. Preventing is exciting. Reversing is exciting. Cataracts is another thing that just I worry about. Every person I've ever seen, age 65 and older, has cataracts more or less or else have been removed. Cataracts seem like they're inevitable. And that's in Mexico and the United States. And yet people that do their antioxidants, get them up to a sufficiently high level, take their free radicals down, eat properly, I believe cataracts are preventable, and I've seen 3 reverse. I've seen 3 reverse. I'm hoping to see a whole bunch reverse. I'm planning not to have them myself because I've got my antioxidants high, keep my free radicals down. I pay attention to my diet all day, every day. Cancer is a concern. Everyone in my family has had cancer. I grew up in southern Utah where, because of the testing of the Nevada test site, we had lots of fallout and people have cancer. With antioxidants, you can stop cancer. You can slow cancer down. You can reduce cancer. Aging process. I haven't found anybody yet that wants to get old, that wants to get wrinkled, that wants to turn from a plum to a prune. I haven't seen people that like to have all the aging process and the degeneration that comes with aging. Free radicals is what causes a lot of those problems throughout the whole body. Antioxidants nip it in the bud, slow it down. Can't prevent it completely, but you certainly can slow it down, and it's worth doing.
Now, actually, seeing people who have had their macular degeneration or their cataracts reversed, was that hard to accept as a doctor? I know most of the time we hear about prevention and not actually about diseases reversing.
I haven't heard very many people talk about diseases reversing. As I talk to the doctors in the hall, I am getting doctors that says, yes, I saw macular degeneration reverse, I saw cataracts reverse, but I haven't heard it preached. I haven't heard it talked about at the head of the seminar. A month ago, I was at my Utah Optometric Association meetings, and the gentleman that was giving the lecture said that with vitamin C alone, cataracts can be prevented 57% of the time. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. It's a good antioxidant. But you get a green tea that's 100 times more powerful. You get a grapeseed extract, which is 100 times more powerful, and yet you can reduce it with vitamin C 57%. But I still haven't heard them talk about reversals. I'm watching reversals. I'm believing in reversals, but you don't hear it taught by the other doctors. But they are starting finally to talk about prevention. They talked in the American Optometric Association meetings in 1987. It was a lecture I listened to about vision and nutrition, and they talked about prevention there. But I haven't ever heard where people say that it can be reversed. I'm seeing it reversed. I'm thrilled with it being reversed, but they don't teach it and they don't write about it yet.
Your patients that have it reversed have to be very excited about it.
They are thrilled to pieces, and so are their families.
To do this, to actually get the best eye health you can, and when you talk about reversing some of these diseases, you weren't talking just about taking antioxidants. There was a lot more that people were encouraged to take. What are some of the other essential nutrients that you recommend people take for proper eye health?
The proper eye health starts with diet. It starts with what you eat and what you don't eat. And then it goes beyond that with the 60 known minerals that people need. These are mostly trace minerals. We've identified at least 60. I'm sure there's more. And then there's 16 vitamins, including A, E, and C, and there's 12 amino acids, and folic certainly being one of those that are so important. And then there's the omega-3, 6, and 9, the fish oils, the flaxseed oils, that are very, very important. And each of these need to be prepared in a way that is symbiotic, a way that your body can most use it. And I like them in a therapeutic dose. I like them to be where they actually do some good, not only preventing, but if you have degeneration, which everybody has it more or less, where it actually starts to restore, where the body has a chance to build, maintain, and repair itself. And so I like to have these in the right amounts. I like to know who is preparing these. I like to know that the essential fatty acid has been protected from heat, from light, from oxygen, that they're paying attention as they combine these different vitamins and minerals and amino acids and essential fatty acids. And that what it says on the bottle is really what is in the bottle. What it says on the capsule is really in the capsule. People that have these preparations tested by independent labs and have the proof so that they know that what it says is what it is, and they have the integrity to keep and maintain that.
Now, when you mentioned, you called it therapeutic doses. Is that a lot higher than like the RDAs?
The RDAs is made to keep a little soldier, 17 years old, alive as he gets off the boat in World War II until the Germans can shoot him, until the Japanese shoot him. We're talking about just barely keeping prisoners alive. That's not my idea of thriving. That's the minimum. I don't want the minimum. I want a higher, much higher dosage, which is actually going to have a therapeutic effect. I've reversed my arthritis in my body by having a therapeutic amount of the vitamins and the minerals, and especially extra calcium and glucosamine. I've reversed my blood pressure by having a higher than minimum. Minimum is not what I want for my body. I would like optimum. I would like the antioxidants as high as possible.
So when you started getting all of the essential nutrients, you said you saw a difference in the symptoms of arthritis as well as your blood pressure came down. Did you notice any difference in weight loss?
I've noticed I haven't gained a pound since 1987. And 1987 is the same time when I started paying attention to not only eating, but quality eating, cutting out the bad stuff, eating the good stuff. I didn't start adding in supplements until 96. It took me until 96 to realize that I needed to supplement with the vitamins and the minerals and the amino acids. And I didn't catch on to the essential fatty acids until about 2001. I had to go back and restudy what essential fatty acids were. I mean, just by the sound of it, essential, okay, I can understand that sounds like I need it. But fatty acid, who wants fatty acid? That doesn't sound good. But as you go back, it is absolutely what your body needs in order to absorb, in order to be healthy, I use essential fatty acids in my practice to help people moisturize their eyes so they can wear contact lenses. If people would drink a half ounce of water for every body pound of weight, they would hydrate themselves with water. And again, with water, I talk about 5 levels. Level 1, you flush. You don't want to drink that. Level 2 is in the rivers and the streams. I don't think you want to drink that either. Level 3 is what they purify and they put through your taps. In most cities, that's okay in the United States of America. I don't drink it in Mexico, though. Level 4 is what they bottle, what they purify, what they've really tried to make good for you. Level 5, I'm not yet. I'm on level 4, but level 5 is where I'd like to be. That would be like reverse osmosis and adding the minerals back in so that I really control everything that I'm drinking. And so you want to hydrate yourself with a half ounce of water, the higher quality the better, for every body pound. So if a person weighed 100 pounds, you're talking 50 ounces of water. Or I weigh close to 300 pounds, and coming down, by the way, thank you. I do like 5 quarts. I try for 150 ounces of water a day. And then if you take the essential fatty acids, that helps moisturize your entire body. And I find people that cannot wear contacts or have a problem with dryness in their eyes, especially in the Utah desert, do much better as they add in the essential fatty acids, they add in the hydration, and they're able to moisturize themselves from inside out.
Now that's the essential fatty acids that help your body retain that moisture. They help not only for people with contacts, but I've heard you recommend extra essential fatty acids for people that are having the eye surgery, the corrective vision surgery. Isn't that right?
Once you go in for laser surgery, if they can be hydrated and have the essential fatty acid, and I'm talking about 6 grams, 9 grams, 12 grams, 15 grams, depends on their body weight. But if they'll hydrate themselves and then continue to keep that eye moist after the laser surgery, we get much better results. I highly recommend that. My wife's heels that were dry and cracking, they've gotten better on the essential fatty acids. She doesn't have to use as many oils on her elbows, and it just moisturizes every cell in your body, makes every cell more absorbable. I love essential fatty acids.
Well, tell us about those top 5 reasons people go blind. I know we've mentioned number 1 and 5.
Number 1 and 5 is macular degeneration and cataracts, free radical caused, antioxidants, and the full nutrition, eating the right things, not eating the wrong things, supplementing properly. You can prevent those. Number 2 is diabetes. I always ask two questions and people know the answer, what causes diabetes. They don't have to answer the questions. What color is the White House? You don't have to tell me. You know that. And what causes sugar diabetes? If you don't know that, we'll have a special help session. If you cut sugar down to almost zero, if you take out natural and processed sugar out of your diet, which we don't really need to be healthy, we need to not have sugar, natural and processed, and refined carbohydrates also turns into sugar within 15 minutes. So if you take out the refined carbohydrates, we're talking about the whole middle of the grocery store, people. We're talking about the packaged food industry. If you take that out, which is created to help make money for people, but not created for healthy people. And if you eat around the edge of the grocery store, we're talking about the vegetable section, the fresh fruit. We're talking about the meats, but just don't cook them too much. We're talking about the eggs, just don't fry them, boil them, poach them. We're talking about the butter, but don't let it change color by heating it too much. If we eat the things that God gives us and then we supplement properly, cutting the sugar down to almost zero, adding in the extra vanadium and chromium along with the regular basic 90, the 60 minerals, 60 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and the omega-3s, we can actually stop, prevent, and I've seen reverse diabetes. Blood pressure, number 4 cause of blindness, again doing the same things as diabetes. In fact, it's interesting. People get diabetes, get blood pressure problems. People get blood pressure, get diabetes. I almost ask people, you have a horse, do you have a bridle? They kind of go together. Diabetes follows blood pressure. My brother had blood pressure for years. Now, what a surprise, he has diabetes. Mom and dad had blood pressure for years. They developed diabetes. And so you do about the same thing for the blood pressure. You eat properly, avoid the bad stuff, eat the good stuff, supplement properly, add in extra calcium. And it doesn't hurt because with calcium deficiency, you have 147 diseases. It doesn't hurt to put in the extra glucosamine, things that you need to rebuild your ligaments, your bones with the minerals, with the vitamins. You can avoid arthritis. You can avoid blood pressure. You can avoid the top 5 reasons people go blind.
When you talk about calcium, is any calcium supplement going to do, or is there a certain kind that you particularly like? Do you like liquid calcium over calcium in a tablet or a capsule?
I think on vitamins, I've gone from crummy, worthless, and poor, and I've evolved into what I consider the most absorbable and the best and the most available to me. And with calcium, I've done the same thing. I started off in the drugstore with ground up oyster shell. That's not going to do you much good. You know, eating rocks doesn't help you. You get into the chelated calcium, much, much better. But if you get into the plant-derived calcium that's been designed specifically to help people, that's the part that I like best, and that's what I do myself, is I do a liquefied calcium that has extra positive charge, so it has the ability to go in my body and to help overcome the arthritis. I've now reversed that in my body. It helps to do away with the bone spurs. I've now reversed that in my body, and it helps it be more available. So I like the plant-derived calcium that is put together, and it's not just calcium only. It's symbiotic with calcium, with magnesium. It also has boron. It also has MSM. It has the things that we need in order for the body to assimilate, to reverse the processes that are going bad, to help build the bones, to help digest the food. You have to have calcium to digest your meat.
You've actually seen bone spurs go away?
In my foot, yes, indeed.
Wow.
Thankfully. Very painful. Didn't want them, still don't want them, glad they're gone.
Wow, that's impressive. Very impressive. You've got a lot of patients that need eyeglasses or want contact lenses, and I think it's probably safe to say the majority of America doesn't think that they're going to go blind. You know, it's not something that we wake up in the morning and says, well, I'm going to go blind. Obviously, there's some people that struggle with it. But does this nutrition, getting all the essential nutrients, can that help people even that aren't worried necessarily about blindness, but just maybe don't want their eyesight to get worse, so they have to, keep getting stronger and stronger corrective lenses? Have you found that the nutrition helps with everyone, with all of your patients?
I would recommend that if people are going to drive a car, they put quality oil and gas in, and it helps their car go. If they're going to fly an airplane, you want to put the oil in, you want to put the gas in, and you want to pay particular attention, because with a car, your car breaks down, you pull over. You're in an airplane, you're in a lot of trouble if the engine quits. We're talking about our bodies here. We're talking about our bodies. And even though it runs on junk most of the time, because that's what we put in it, and it's amazing that it runs as well as it does, why would we want to not put in the best that we can? Why not give our bodies the best building materials they can? And it comes with nutrition. It comes with what you eat. But since what we eat is no longer complete, we have to supplement. And so I would think that anyone would want, at any age, to be able to put in the proper food and supplement that proper food so their body can build, maintain, and repair itself, so it can truly be a temple, so it can stay young, it can stay healthy, it can stay beautiful. It doesn't have to get fat, old, and wrinkled as fast. Maybe not at all. And plus, to extend our life, where we're able to accomplish more good, be able to help more people. If we're all tied up with pain and just barely surviving, how many other people can you help when you're just trying to survive yourself? I'd like to be in a position where my body's doing so well that I'm able to reach out and help other people.
Dr. Pugh, you seem real passionate about what you do. Would you be doing this even if there wasn't money to be made with it?
You know, the concept I have is I'm a red-hot briquette. And I'd like to go in these other countries, and I'd like to touch other people and get them going and fan their flame where they would be self-sufficient and educating themselves. And I wouldn't mind providing them books and tapes and things as a library. But as far as just giving them out, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the people who have access to the knowledge, and based on their knowledge, them doing something worldwide. I definitely would be doing this even if there's not money to be made with it. Helping people is so important to me, helping them be able to see better, to be able to prevent blindness. But you can't just help the eyes. It's healthy eyes, healthy people. You're helping their whole person. We're talking about preventing birth defects. We're talking about helping people overcome so many bad diseases such as arthritis, heart diseases, cardiovascular problems. We're talking about the entire body is built with cells, and every cell is built with vitamins and minerals and amino acids and essential fatty acids. And if you don't have the building blocks, the cells aren't healthy. If the cells aren't healthy, the body's not healthy. So we're talking about, yes, the eyes are important, but the eyes are just part of the body, and it all ties together. And I would do this if there was no money in it at all, because it's a good thing to do. But unfortunately, I have a house to pay for. I've got a car to drive. It costs money to fly here and to go there. It's a necessity of life. And so it's one of those things that I am glad that there's a way to build a business as you help people to help people.
Dr. Pugh, what has been the most effective way that you found in sharing this education with other people? Is it something that you found more effective to sit down and give people the information personally where you talk with them for a few hours? Or have you found it's more effective to like share a CD or a tape or a book with them?
People need to be able to educate themselves. I'd like to very quickly touch on the point that it's possible to prevent blindness, that it's possible to reverse some of these problems. But it's up to them to take that knowledge, to build upon it on their own, be responsible themselves, and then if they'll borrow a tape, borrow a book, or go buy some, search things out on their own, they need to educate themselves on a line by line, minute by minute, day by day. It's an ongoing process. If people don't internalize the information, then they won't keep up doing what it takes to be healthy. So I don't have the time to help the whole world. They need to help themselves. I just simply start it. I like to use the analogy like I'm a briquette making a barbecue. I'm red hot. I like to touch them. I like to get them lit. I like to fan the flames a little bit. And then as they catch on fire, I'm hoping they'll go out and they'll touch other briquettes and they'll catch them on fire. I'm hoping that they'll spread the word. Because as one person, as a small group of people, there's a big world out there. And you have to help people to be able to help people, to be able to help people, to help millions, to help billions. Everybody needs this information. It should be taught in every school. It should be taught in every health class. But it's not. And I don't think it ever will be. So I think people have to take the responsibility and search it out and live according to their beliefs.
And are you finding that those patients of yours that actually do listen to audio cassettes or read books about health and nutrition get much better results when they start to supplement?
I won't even let them know what supplements I use until they educate themselves. I think that there's so many supplements on the market, there's so much confusion out there, that unless they know what they're doing, they're not going to continue with it. It's kind of like doing push-ups. You can start doing push-ups, and if you quit in 5 days, why did you start at all? If you quit in 3 weeks, why do you start at all? This is something that's a lifestyle. This is a lifetime commitment. This is something that as long as your heart beats, you need to have the building blocks if you're going to be healthy. And so it's something that if people will educate themselves to make it a lifestyle, supplementing and eating properly, tremendous, tremendous possibilities. But if they only do it for a week or two or a month or two, why even start?
So you're talking about a lifestyle change.
I'm looking for a lifestyle change. I'm talking about the 6 inches between the eardrums. They're 6 inches away from health.
Well, how long do people need these essential nutrients?
Only as long as they breathe, only as long as they need oxygen, only as long as their heart beats.
Well, Dr. Pugh, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate your passion and all of the education that you've shared with us. And hopefully the people that listen to this will become those briquettes where they go out and share this with other people, and together we can make a bigger difference in the world.
I am passionate about what I do. If I had my wish, some genie came to me and says, Ron, just name your wish, I'll grant it to you. I say, Genie, where have you been all my life? I've been looking for you. What I wish is for every person on earth to take the personal responsibility for their physical health, to search it out, to find the best, and then to do the best based on their beliefs. And if the genie granted that to me, I'd have to find something else to do, because that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, is help people become responsible for their own health.
And have you found that by improving their physical health, that people's emotional health seems to improve as well?
And their spiritual health. Emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, they're all tied together. When you feel better, you do better.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pugh.
My pleasure. Thanks, Blake.